I'm Vin.
I'm Sori.
That's Lavi.
Salty and Chip. It's hard to get used to.
Yeah. So,
Okay.
Shout out to the big homie Mike. Let me know how that surgery comes out, my man.
For sure.
For sure. This is And When He Falleth, Theater of Tragedy.
Mm-hmm. So this is a new one again. I like it when we do a band we've never done before.
Yeah, never done, and it's been asked for a lot. This is one of those things that I feel like has been asked for months. Mm-hmm. So I'm actually pretty excited for this. All
right. We're both hydrating.
Yeah, we're both hydrating. You're hydrating on water, and I'm going to poison myself slowly.
I've got other forms of poison.
Wow. Oh, you beautiful people of the village, if you only knew. All right, let's do it. When He Falleth.
All right. Go.
Is it only a decoration, or are you a true Christian believer?
Yes, I believe. Truly.
Then I want you to remove it at once. Never to wear it within this castle again. You know how Falcon is trained, my dear? Her eyes are sewn shut. Blinded temporarily, she suffers the whims of her God patiently, until her will is submerged and she learns to serve. Thus your God taught and blinded you with crosses.
You had me take off my cross because it
It
offended...
offended no one. No, it simply appeared to me to be discourteous to wear the symbol of the deity long dead. My ancestors tried to find it, to open the door that separates us from our Creator.
You need no doors to find God. If you believe...
Believe? If you believe you are God. Can you look around this world and believe in the goodness of a God who rules it? Famine, pestilence, war, disease, and death, they rule this world.
There is also love and life and hope.
Very little hope, I assure you. No. If a God of love and life ever did exist, he is long since dead. Someone, something, rules in his place.
Whoa. I wonder what movie that was from that he was
I
quoting.
don't know. I liked it though.
I wonder why these people always have us do these songs.
Why? Why do you have us do these songs?
Why do you have us do these songs?
Whatever's in your mind. Maybe they want us to speak against the doubt that's in people's hearts.
Yeah,
Through the glasses of our own belief.
of our naive belief. So, Tartak, are you a Christian? Yes, I believe.
Yes, I believe.
So it seems. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh no, go ahead. I was just gonna start asking questions about the lyrics.
Go for it.
Well, he says, "Be my kin, free from carnal sin, bridle the thoughts of thy master." Who's the master? I could kind of.
God, religion.
That's what I thought. I was like,
Throw it away.
Oh, that's what it meant.
Yeah, bridle it. Like rein it in.
Yeah,
Control it.
yeah,
So, don't let it rule you. Rule it
okay,
by doing what you want.
yeah, okay, yeah, I guess, yeah. I was thinking bridle, like you bridle it and bring it in, but I thought it was like to understand it more.
No, I don't think so. I think it's the thoughts of your master is bridling you. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like an inversion of what God said to Cain. Sin desires to have you,
Yeah,
but you must master it.
right.
This is sin saying, God desires to have you, but you must master him.
Oh, wow, okay. Oh, so the male voice in it, is that supposed to be sin? Or the devil?
Well, I think, the way the song is set up and the way it begins and ends is there's this man speaking to this woman.
Yeah.
And the man is like a person who's doubted and lost his faith, doesn't even want her to wear a cross.
Yeah.
And she's kind of this naive girl who still holds on to whatever.
Yeah.
And so he is saying to her, get rid of that stuff. Be my kin in carnal sin.
Okay.
Because, this pastor one time, he made the statement. It's super offensive, but like 30% true. He said, doubt is a sexually transmitted disease. Meaning, because so much of religion, namely Christian religion, puts so many restrictions on your sexual mores, that then all of a sudden you have these doubts about God and His existence, because it frees you up to be free in your carnal sin.
Okay.
Yeah.
Or it also could be because you're born, like we're born in sin, and like so we already have that in us. So maybe you're born with your doubts, and it's transmitted sexually, because the only way to have children is through sex.
That's not what he meant. He meant that.
Okay.
He meant that
Could've been
because
a
there's
double.
all these restrictions on our sexual mores.
Yeah.
That it's very. All of a sudden you start
It's convenient
doubting.
for us to doubt. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I doubt that.
I mean that.
Yeah, and then off you go. Shout out to the CDC for showing us the consequences of the sexual revolution.
Yeah. Yep.
Shout out to that HPV, kids. Shouldn't joke about that. It's a disaster.
Is that one that can be cured?
It can, but it can also lead to cervical cancer and infertility later on. And, in our area, it was like 70% of the girls between, 14 and 17 had HPV.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so there you are. There hath passed away a glory from the earth, a glory that in the hearts and minds of men demented, blindfolded by light. Yikes.
Wow.
It's a good line.
Yeah.
That is a good line.
Yeah.
So it's like religion makes you, it's this very, very simplistic view of the world, I think. But, why'd you do that?
So you can see the time?
This is a very, very simplistic view of the world that people have. We were talking about it yesterday in the socialism conversation about, like, you have these institutions that have been around for thousands of years.
Yeah.
Or like economic theories even that have been around, not necessarily for thousands of years, but all these ideologies have been thought through in multiple ways. So if you think that you can just make a broad brush statement about it without dealing with the nuance, then whatever. So here it's like religious people, I guess, are pictured as being demented and blindfolded by light. Mm-hmm. And if you look at the girl in the discussion, like she's kind of Pollyannish and everything is like unicorns and rainbows or whatnot. Mm-hmm. As if Christians haven't had to struggle with the concept of theodicy, which is, the defense of God in the context of why suffering happens and all the rest of it.
The list of things he said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As if Augustine and Aquinas and Edwards and Calvin and Luther and like all these people, none of them dealt with this. Everybody just had this Pollyannish view of the world. Might I too was blindfolded ere the quality of mercy and absolution, though years have mastered me. Whence cometh such
No, is he
qualities?
talking? I was getting confused, like.
Well, there was. As soon as I was listening to this song, I was like, we gotta listen to this song again to really get it, because there's a back and forth happening, because it's a conversation.
I felt like there was a lot in it, like, to be understood.
But I think what he's saying in this stanza is, I used to be blinded too, right?
Might I too was blind from
Before. The quality of mercy and absolution, though years have mastered me. Right? So he used to believe, but as years went on, the years mastered him.
And then he says, a mask of this to fashion, build thyself a mirror in which. So basically he's saying he created something so he could see his own self, and when he saw his own self, he saw the despair was still there.
Thou best philosopher,
Yeah.
solely wanton images of thy desires appear. That's interesting, because that goes to that pastor's statement about doubt being a sexually transmitted disease.
Yeah.
Because he built himself a mirror so that he could see so he could see the best philosopher. It just so happens that he's the best philosopher of all time, right? Because if you build a mirror and then you see the best philosopher, and then
okay.
what images appear in the mirror of your philosophy? Your wanton image, the wanton images of your desire.
So that goes to the point you were making before.
Yeah, it's like, oh yeah, the years have just stripped faith away from me, which is and I think it's a very valid. Don't anybody hit me up in the comment section and say you're dismissing people's valid. I get it. There are a lot of people that have like validly lost faith because of terrible things in life, but this to me seems to be extremely self-aware, which is, at least in part, this guy had some wanton desires that Christianity in particular was constricting,
preventing him from
that his
indulging in.
doubt and loss of faith was actually very, very helpful in accomplishing.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like the quality of mercy and absolution. Whence cometh such qualities? Where does that come from? Of course, you know, it's like that guy in what do you call it? Vikings.
Yeah.
The bishop. The bishop,
Oh,
the
yeah,
priest, warrior priest guy who, he does his little thing, and then on the side he's knocking out all these girls, you know, and so he runs through a field of thorns and shit to make absolution
to make up
for the fact that he was, he's knocking out all these girls. Of course, he doesn't feel any guilt whatsoever for slaughtering human beings wholesale.
Right. No, that he says he's doing in the name of God.
He's doing jihad. Yeah, you see, he's doing that in the name of God. But knocking out the girls, that's the problem.
Yeah.
Meaning engaging in illicit sexual relationships with these girls, he feels the necessity of absolution.
Yeah.
And so then when he's talking to Lagatha talks about sex, and she's like, I love that shit. Our God's encourage it. And he's like, you don't feel guilty at all? She's like, hell no, they encourage it.
Right.
Here's a news flash.
Right.
If your God doesn't demand of you anything that you wouldn't want to do,
maybe you've created him.
that's the thing. It's like people think that like there's a lot of shit in Christianity that's like a human being when they come up. Don't even look at a woman with lust.
Right.
That's 9/10 of you. The minute you see this one, you're done. No dude would come up with that as a religion. Believe you me. All right. So he's saying I'm interpreting this as, hey, he doesn't. Here's an interesting thing is one of the things that I've like come to a realization to, which is, so in Christianity it's like you can be forgiven for anything, and you can be forgiven a million times over. So if you sin on the same issue for the 9,876,273rd time, you can be forgiven the 274th time.
Yeah.
And so to me, I've always been like, you can be completely and freely forgiven. And to me, that's like the best deal of all time. What I'm starting to realize with people is they don't even want anything to be forgiven for, period. They don't even want the concept of the necessity of absolution or mercy, period.
Yeah.
That's what they resent. So because it's a blow to your pride to have to ask God for forgiveness. So a person is like, so if you come from a Christian presupposition that there's already a God and that you're always going to fail, and so you're always going back to Him for forgiveness.
Yeah.
If you come to that as a presupposition, the only thing the only value that you have at that point is the knowledge that God is truly and ultimately going to forgive you. But what if you didn't come from that initial presupposition, and that you resented the idea that you had to keep coming to God for forgiveness?
To be honest with you, that's hard for me to even put myself in that situation. There's lots of things where I'm like, oh, I can put myself there. I can see where they're coming from. I wouldn't do that, but I can see. That one is...
Yeah, but the more and more, and that's one of the things I've learned since we started the channel, like the more and more I talk to people, the more I see that they resent even the concept of having to ask God for forgiveness.
I don't understand that. Like, don't you feel some measure of guilt for the things that you've done?
Well, they would say, like, to me, with these folks, like, their value system, it seems like they want to be able to do certain... here's what I think is happening. Like, they have their own moral code. Mm-hmm. And their moral code conveniently encompasses the things that they like to do.
Yeah.
And their reasoning is, hey, I'm not killing anyone, I'm not raping anyone, so other than that, I should be able to freely do what I want to do. Mm-hmm. So then the idea that you can still, even if you're not killing or raping someone, that's not the only standard.
Yeah. That
there's a standard higher than that. They resent that because they're like, look, I'm not doing anything like to hurt anyone. Of course, our argument is, yeah, but you're dishonoring God. They say, well, I don't care. I don't care about that, so why should I have to feel guilty about that?
Well, it's dishonest to say I'm not hurting anyone.
What do you mean?
Because, like, how can you live your life without hurting anybody as long as you just don't rape or kill?
Well, no, what I'm saying is they have their own moral code. And so, like, if they punch somebody in the eye, you don't need to tell them you shouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
But, like, sexual mores, for example.
Yeah.
You shouldn't have sex unless you're married.
Yeah.
They're going to say, fuck you. I'm not, I'm not hurting anyone. Of course, like I said, go check out the CDC and tell me that free sex is a good thing for a given society.
There's no way that you can engage in sexual activity all over the place and not end up hurting somebody.
Yeah, but the fact is that as long as it's consensual sex, to them that's the locus of all their guilt. As long as the sex was consensual, then it's all good.
Oh.
Well,
eventually, you're going to hit somebody who wants to be in that relationship, and you don't want to be in it, or
but
somebody that was cheating.
But according to their moral code, they're fine. So my point is, they've built their own moral code, and so for God to come and impose His moral code on them and say you need forgiveness, that they can't, that makes them very angry.
I can't understand it. I'm sorry.
What is there not to understand?
I don't understand that, but I think that it's because I always say like I feel guilty about everything. Like
you do.
So because of that, I want something that's gonna relieve my guilt. So for me, Christianity is not convenient for me. I would rather be a Catholic because I want to do something right now that makes me feel like, okay, I want to be able to say, I did X, Y, and Z thing. Good. I did that to take care of it. Boom. That's taken care of. I don't want to say, okay, Jesus died on the cross for that. And He died on the cross for that. And He died on the cross for that. That's too much. I don't want to put all that on Him. And I don't like... So for me, Christianity is hard. So I think... So that makes sense that would be a religion, that would be something from God, because like you said, it like requires something of me, and what it requires of me is to put my trust in God, which is extremely difficult. But I don't understand the concept of going through your life and not feeling guilt, and then somebody says, hey, you're wrong for that, then you don't like that they say that.
Again, I want to be very nuanced here, because I keep getting this quote in the comment section. I'm not saying that these folks are complete sociopaths that don't have guilt. What I'm saying is, they have their own moral code. And when they violate their own moral code, they feel bad about it. What I'm saying is that God's moral code, from a biblical perspective, is much higher and more strict and stringent than theirs.
Yeah.
And so what they resent is being held to the higher standard of God's moral code over theirs, is what I'm saying.
Oh.
So they're not going through life going, hey!
That's really prideful. to have this assumption that your moral code is the highest and that should be the one. Like, let's say there is a God, like obviously we believe in God, but if there was a God, then He should be able to impose His morality on you. Like, how arrogant that you as a created being would say, no, my code is higher than yours.
Right. More satisfactory. You know, they won't necessarily say it's higher, but they'll say it's satisfactory to be a good person. Okay. So anyway, it's.
I think I understand what you're saying. It's still a little bit strange to me, but that's just because of my upbringing. I'm sure that other people would look at me and think that was very strange to feel guilty about everything, like even the smallest of things.
Well, yeah.
We were at the library, and there was we were standing in line, and this old man came up and he cut us in line. That annoys me. I don't like being cut in line. And then like I said I felt like saying something, but then he was like, you're gonna think I'm a terrible person. He was, those little walkers with the wheels? He had one of those, and he was like holding himself up with that. I'm like, so I've got two perfectly good legs, and my kids have perfectly good legs, and I'm upset that this guy cut us but he, he's having a hard time. He could have said, "You mind if I cut in? I'm having a hard time
Right.
here." But he didn't. He just cut us and had this assumption that he could do that, and that's what bothered me. But I kind of felt like, I don't know, then I kind of felt bad, like, what kind of person am I that I was annoyed with this old man? Like, he's old. I mean, he's not 1,000 years old, but he was old, like, he's lived life. I'm sure he's, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I started feeling guilty. I
Yeah.
don't know why. But, so some people might be like, so what? I mean, you let the old man go, you didn't make a thing of it, so.
Well, yeah. And you definitely have a problem with Protestant Christianity, which says you can't do anything to atone for your
No, I
sins.
hate that shit.
Only Jesus did, and you just have to trust blindly that he fixed it.
Yeah.
Versus being able to actively do something that
No, you
can
know what's
see.
weird is I totally believe that he did. Like, I believe that it's taken care of, but I'm not comfortable with that idea. I feel like like he might be like good with it, and then all of a sudden I'm gonna find out, he wasn't completely good with it. Like it was bugging him that I kept sinning.
Well, he's not good with it. That's why he died on the cross for it.
No, I mean good with it in the sense of like,
I mean, what it comes down to is like, is what Jesus did on the cross enough? That's the question. Whether God is good with sin or not, that answer was definitively settled on the cross. He's not good with sin.
yeah, I know he's not good with sin, but I mean like, is there some kind of strings attached that I don't know about?
Right.
Something like, am I gonna
Right.
get up there and he's gonna be like, welcome in, but you're gonna see the back of my head the rest of the eternity or something. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. Like Muhammad with that guy that killed Hamza.
yeah.
He forgave him, but he was like, I never want to see you again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I get annoyed when the kids, like, we have one kid that's constantly doing the same stuff over and 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 over, and then he's constantly saying, "I'm sorry," and then he hugs you. "I'm sorry," and he hugs you, and you're like, "Do you mean it? Do you even mean this? Like, why are you doing this?"
Well,
he looks like he means it sometimes.
He means it as best as he can in that moment.
Then he just keeps going back. So I feel like, what if God's like me? What if he's annoyed?
I don't think God's annoyed.
Because I'm more like Moses, and God is more like himself.
Well, it says he knows we're dust.
Yeah.
He knows that we're dust. So he doesn't always accuse. That's what it says. Read the psalm.
All right.
It's the divine comedy, the divine tragedy.
The fool and the mocking court. I see. I don't know.
Like that's you and the world. You're the fool and the world is the mocking court. Or maybe God and his angels are the mocking court.
Yeah, who knows?
Because, kneel now, ring thy bells. We hold the earth from heaven away.
Well, what is ring thy bells?
No idea. Maybe it's, what's what those little harlequins, those little court jesters did. They'd ring the bells.
Yeah, there's also bells in like Catholicism. Like I feel like that they kneel and they do. I don't know.
That's very, very possible. Smells and bells, right?
Yeah.
Isn't that the thing with the so it's all like
incense and stuff.
It's all like mockery and all this. Like it seems like Catholicism has done a number on a lot of people.
I know.
Nergal, this guy.
Yikes! I know.
Shout out to all my Catholic friends. We got to do a fireside in Catholicism.
Yeah.
There are some significant differences.
There are. Yeah.
We hold the earth from heaven away. Make us guffaw at thy futile follies. Yet for our blunders, in shame. Like, it's just that God's just laughing at you.
I don't think he's laughing at us though.
That's what it says. Make us guffaw.
Yeah. No, I don't think so.
Mockery.
Like I feel like there's stuff that I have to reconcile between me and God, but I don't feel like he's laughing at us.
Oh, I know, but that's kind of like the
That's
view
sad.
of the world that's in here.
Yeah. I've never heard I don't think I've ever heard anyone say that. What if God's
What, that
laughing
God
at
is
us?
just mocking us?
Yeah.
The Bible does say God does that.
He laughs at the people that are
Yeah,
trying to.
Psalm 2, it says,
Yeah.
let us burst their bonds apart and cast away their cords from us. That's the
Yep.
kings and the rulers of the earth take counsel together against the Lord and against his anointed. Saying,
Right.
let us burst their bonds apart and cast their cords
They're
from us.
conspiring
And
to
it says,
destroy God.
he who sits in the heavens laughs, the Lord holds him in derision.
Yep.
And he terrifies them with his anger.
Yep.
And frightens them in his fury. So, like, when people are trying to overthrow God, that's when he laughs at them. But when people are trying to live a righteous life, or not even trying to live a righteous, just trying to make it through the world, and they keep cycling in this, despair. He doesn't. I mean, he's close to the brokenhearted. The scripture says. But I do think that our projections of what God is like, because if you come out as a Christian or as a whatever, or as a priest or whatever, and you project to people what God is like, and you project this very cold, exacting, you messed up, you messed up, you messed up, then people are they're gonna feel that that's the way that God is. And so when God showed up to the earth in the person of Jesus, he'd say things like, you put these heavy burdens on people's back
that you yourself can't even carry.
That you can't carry, and you won't lift a finger to help the other guy.
Yeah.
So, and we were talking about this, like people that get trapped in certain sins or patterns or whatever, and you're just a constant, like, you know, you suck, whatever, and they're having a very hard time reconciling it or dealing with it. And so, like, people get the impression that that's how God operates, that he just puts you in this situation to, you know, to mock you. So.
I think that's, again, one of those thoughts. I don't feel that way, so that's another one I have to think about.
What do you mean?
Like that God just putting you in these situations just to mock you in them. I don't feel like that he's like that either. Like, I don't have correct views of God all around. Well, like, but there's some things that I'm like, well, no, I know.
Well, this is just a cynical guy who's, like, progressively lost his faith.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
And again, you know, I find it doesn't matter how, like, highbrow the given non-believer is. There's a lot of people who are just plain ignorant, haven't read the Bible for themselves. Mm-hmm. They just haven't.
Yep.
So, you know, we had Aaron Ra in there, and he was quoting all these passages out of context.
That was surprising to me.
He did, right. It doesn't matter how highbrow the guy is. Like, they really haven't taken the time.
Yeah.
Some of that is just plain laziness. Some of it is intellectual dishonesty. Some of it is just, again, the projections that they've got of what Christianity is or who God is comes from human beings who have completely. So, like, I have no interest in engaging a person like that.
I think, too, the other thing is it's the whole, like, being in a room that the same conversations are always taking place. So if you say to your atheist buddy, blah, 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 the Bible says yada, 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 he hasn't studied the Bible either. And so he's saying, yeah, oh my word, those crazy fools who are believing that or whatever. You have to talk to somebody who actually, like you always say, if you want to talk or learn about Muslims, you better talk to a Muslim. If you want to learn about Christianity, don't hear it from your atheist buddy. Talk to a Christian, you know, like talk to, but again, you know what? I will say he's probably had bunches of conversations with Christians, and a lot of them didn't really know their Bible, and so he probably stumped them and tripped them up, and they didn't go to the verses themselves, so he probably thought he had it right. That's possible too. Because he said, I've talked to a bunch of the Christians, and nobody has explained it the way you did. He said it. You all heard him. Aaron Ra.
Oh. Well, I mean...
Very strong chest.
Yeah, I guess. So that dialogue was interesting. That cross around your neck is only your decoration, or are you a true Christian believer? Then I want you to remove it at once and never to wear it within this castle.
It's interesting because he was fine as long as it was decoration.
Do you know how a falcon is trained, my dear? Her eyes are sewn shut, blinded temporarily. Yeah. She suffered the whims of her God patiently until her will is submerged and she learns to serve, as your God taught and blinded you with crosses. So that's a very, very interesting line to me.
Which one?
That
I couldn't get past the eyes.
Your eyes are sewn shut, that you're blinded until your will is submerged and you learn to serve. So, like, God is just, that's a picture of God as just to blind a person and grind them into the dirt so that they can learn to serve. And then notice what he says is, as your God taught and blinded you with crosses. Yep. So, like, God is being presented as this person who blinds people and grinds them into the dirt. Mm-hmm.
Well,
and he does that through crosses. I thought that was amazingly ignorant of the Bible.
I was going to say, I think that religion has done that.
Yeah, he didn't say your religion.
Yes, I know, but I think that he's confused about the two.
Yeah, I just wish I could find somebody who is actually honest about and actually, like, shows, like... So Jesus says, the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve. Mm-hmm. And to give his life as a ransom for many.
Yes.
How does that equate to, I've come to grind you into the dirt until you learn to serve me?
Well, because he also says, take up your cross and follow after me.
Yeah.
So the cross is going to inevitably grind you into the dirt.
Yeah, but He's not the one grinding you into the dirt.
The cross is.
He's saying, follow me as I get ground into the dirt.
Yes. Yeah.
Christianity is saying that God himself was ground into the dirt. What are you talking about? This is what I'm talking about. Like, this is basic Christian theology. Like, where is this coming from?
I think it's coming from the leaders of the church.
Yeah, I get it. I do think the leaders of the church bear some responsibility, but where's the culpability to exercise some intellectual rigor and actually research what the hell people actually say?
Maybe they don't want to. Maybe like you said, maybe people are lazy, or maybe it's just that...
It's just strange to me. Like, I don't... Okay, so...
What? Go ahead.
Like I said, if he would have said religion, I would have said, okay, sure, like there's a lot of Christian religious people, but...
People don't separate God and religion. They're the same thing. Separate church and state, but...
They don't
separate religion and God.
Yeah.
That's my problem.
I agree with that. That's
true. My problem right now in my life, is religion has hurt me. And I can't separate that from God. And so I feel like I keep trying to separate it, but, you know, because religion was saying, you should stay and do X, Y, and Z thing. You know, a lot of religions would say, you need to stay married to this person regardless of what happens. It doesn't matter, stay with them. And women have died over that shit. Because they've been in abusive relationships, and so to save the marriage, they've stayed there because the church said that. God wouldn't have said that to them, but the church would. And so you they become one and the same. And so the opinions and stuff that comes from people in the church, especially if they have influential personalities or strong personalities, and you see them reminding you of God, maybe they bear his image, well, then you take what they say. And so I just think that this has happened. And over the years, the church has heavily influenced people to believe in the church. This is my opinion. Believe in the church more so than believing in God. And there's a lot of ministries that they are funded off of that. A lot of places think this is the only church you can go to and actually be good with God. I mean, the Catholic Church says there's no salvation outside of the Catholic Church.
Well, that was before Vatican II.
What do you mean?
Ex Ecclesiam Nullis Salus is prior to Vatican II. It was Council of Trent. Vatican II.
So are you saying they don't say that anymore?
Well,
well, I know Catholics that still say that.
Well, they're radical traditionalists.
I'm saying there's people still saying it.
Yeah, but I just want to be clear. That's not the official stance of the Roman Catholic Church today.
Well, fair enough.
As of the second.
And I know other
Vatican
churches
Council.
that say if you go to any other church except for our church, you're going to hell.
I get it, and I obviously sympathize with you, but at the same time, it's like there's a Bible, and you do have a Bible.
Yeah, no.
You know, like this guy has a Bible. I'm assuming this guy has a Bible. So, like, especially as it relates to the cross, that is God taking on the role of a servant. It says in Isaiah 53 and Philippians 2.
No, you're right.
So, like, there's multiple times when, I mean, you know, I'm a worm and not a man.
Yeah.
That's God saying that.
Yeah.
So the God of the Bible lowers himself to serve in the lowest possible way that he could possibly conceive of, even as a human being. So to say that, to make the analogy of God is showing you and doing this to blind you so that you... And when Jesus says, take up your cross and follow me, he's opening your eyes to the reality that, look, I'm not going to bullshit you. If you follow me, you're going to have problems. Mm-hmm. You'll have problems with following me that you wouldn't have if you didn't. That's like a eyes wide open, no fine print, here's the deal. Like, so I just don't understand this. Like, this doesn't sound like the God that I know at all in any way, shape, or form. Like, he's never ground me into the dirt. Not once. As a matter of fact, the worse that I am and the farther away that I am, the more that he's come after me and made me and lifted me up. I mean, the God of the Bible is always lifting people up. He's never grinding. Yeah. As a matter of fact, at the end, he says in the Gospel of John, at the end in the Upper Room Discourse, he says, I no longer call you servants, but my friends. Uh-huh. And then he goes into the line of, greater love is no man that he would lay down his life for his friends. Yeah. After he had just said, you guys are no longer servants. You're not my servants anymore, which was a common thing. You had a rabbi, and basically it was your honor to be able to serve your rabbi. And Jesus is like, we don't have that type of relationship anymore. Like you guys are my friends. Or the ultimate, to those who believed in his names, he gave the right to become the sons of God.
Right.
So it's like, what is this? What is this? What are you talking about? Like, it explicitly stated that that's not the case.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know. I mean, there's a heavy emphasis on enlightenment, especially in the book of Hebrews. Of like seeing the light and being enlightened, having your eyes opened, and
yeah. Well, he says that he blindfolded you with the light.
Well, yeah, blindfolded with the light and blinded you with the cross. It's like, okay, like you can see though. Like this guy's got a very good grasp of ultimate reality for sure. He doesn't even know the basic understanding of what the message is, but he's so confident that he. But see, this is the thing that kills me. Like if I ran into a bunch of atheists, or this guy is not necessarily an atheist. He's if I ran into a bunch of people that said, look, man, I don't know anything about this. I don't know anything about anything. I don't really know much about your religion. What I do know, I don't like. But that's where I'm at. That to me seems to be very, very self-aware.
Yeah.
But like this stuff right here, they say it so confidently.
Yeah.
It's like, that's what that boggles my mind. It's like,
you obviously haven't studied it, so why are you speaking so
they don't even know their own belief system.
Yeah.
Like, you know how rare it is for me to run into an atheist who's read any Russell or Nietzsche or Voltaire?
That always surprises me too.
You don't even know, like, I was talking to Kellendross today, and like he knows it, and he's got a very nuanced view, which is what happens when you actually read these people, Christian or not. Your view becomes more and more nuanced.
Yeah.
And I said, Kellen, you know that, but you've seen the people that I've talked to, 99% of them have no idea.
Yeah.
How the hell do you run the Atheists of America or whatever in 49 states and you've never read Bertrand Russell? I don't understand it.
Right.
And I'm not saying you can't be an atheist if you've never read those guys, and I'm not saying you can't be a Christian if you've never read Augustine. I'm just saying, how can you so arrogantly talk about these systems when you don't know the basic thing about any of them?
Yeah, no.
You don't even know the basic thing about your own belief system, but you're so, like, I can understand somebody saying, look, I don't have a belief in gods or gods because I'm not fully convinced about it. I don't really know much about your belief system or mine. That's where I'm at. Okay.
Right.
But these guys are like strutting about like they make all these absolute statements.
It's true.
That's crazy to me.
It's true. It's true.
That's just weird, man. I don't know. She says, you take offense at my cross. He's like, it offended no one. It simply appears to me discourteous to wear the symbol of a deity long dead. My ancestors try to find it and to open the door that separates us from our Creator. See, this, like I said, this guy is not like a full-blown atheist. He's just saying he doesn't believe in Christianity. But you don't need doors to find God if you believe. Believe. If you believe, you're gullible. Can you look around this world and believe it is in the goodness of a God who rules it? Famine, pestilence, war, disease, and death, they rule this world.
There is also love, hope, and life. Whoops, I mixed it up, but...
Very little hope, I assure you. No. If a God of love and of life ever did exist, he's long since dead. Something rules in his place.
That part was so sad to me.
I know, I saw you. The irony, of course, is that the very answer to all the pain and suffering and all the shit that's happens in this world is the very symbol that he's against. Because what we say is, hey, if you hate all the evil and suffering in the world, God himself has taken all that upon himself. And the reason that we wear that symbol is because we don't believe he stayed dead.
Yeah.
To me, all the Christian iconography, all the cross iconography that you see in the first 3 centuries of the church is it's an astounding claim of the resurrection. Because thousands of young Jewish men were crucified.
Right.
And there's only one Jewish man out of all those people being crucified where the cross is actually celebrated.
Yep.
There's so much. So it's like yes, like this is a thing where it's like you saw off the very branch that you have to stand on. when you say that you hate the cross and you don't want to see the cross, and at the same time you hate human suffering, to me that's where divinity, humanity, and suffering and the goodness of God all coalesce in the cross, all come together, is on the cross. Because what we're saying is that God took that upon himself, and so like the empty cross is the sort of guarantee that one day that's going to end.
Right.
You know?
Right.
So, but I get it at the same time though. Like, I understand that this right here captures a lot of resonance to me when you see, like, we're doing that thing in Patreon. We've got either Compassion International or Ronnie James Dio had a charity where he was like saving kids from being sex trafficked over there in California.
Yep. And there was a ministry, something, or I don't know what it was. I know it was a charity thing, something about the nations.
Yeah.
That one of our patrons actually worked at. That
Ronnie James Dio thing really like resonates with me because he's a metal guy and he created that foundation. So we're gonna vote on it and then we'll see. But like, so it's like, okay, us and our patrons, we're gonna do our part and help some kids get off, not get into that lifestyle, and that's huge. Yeah, that's so huge. If we could accomplish that together as a group. Yeah. And we're going to somehow, some way, whether it's building a well or saving some kid from being trafficked. Yeah. But then I think to myself, like, there's so many other kids who we're not going to be able to hit. There's some kid right now that's getting groomed, you know, and so it's like, I understand that if you look long enough at the world, and I don't do this, if you look long enough and think long enough of the world, you could really sink into a ton of despair, because it doesn't matter how many people you try to help. You know, we ran into that guy on the street, you know, a couple days ago, and he needed a prescription and whatever, and we helped him, and it's like, oh yeah, and then 2 days ago I saw him outside. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, what did you really do? What you feel like you didn't accomplish anything. You feel, and it feels very, very hopeless. So if you sit and look at the world for a very, very long time, like, I'm with him here. Like, it could fuck you up. It could make you say, like, how can you believe that there's an actual good God in the world? How? When no matter how much good you do or try to do, and how many talks you've had with people about heroin's gonna kill you, and then you see them in the street panhandling for money, and they've lost 40 pounds, and you know exactly what he's gonna do with that money. Oh. And like, the more, it's like, how do you not like fall into just complete despair about any goodness being in the world? You know what I mean? So I completely understand this shit right here. And to feel the idea that God must be dead, or like any good God must be dead because, you know.
Did you think, scroll back up again, right there. Believe in a deity long dead. I would rather be a pagan suckled in creeds outworn, with fairy tales filled up in my head, thoughts of the book stillborn. Didn't you think that was interesting? So rather, he's saying believe in a deity that's long dead, he would rather be surrounded by all that other worthless stuff. Or am I misunderstanding something?
Well, I think that the ultimate optimism of Christianity, Christianity is very systemic in an optimistic view of the world. You're going to rise from the dead, new heaven and new earth, blah, 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 blah. I'm not that familiar with paganism, but like, paganism doesn't strike me as being as Pollyannish or as too good to be true-ish as Christianity does.
Oh. Yeah, but he says with fairy tales filled up in my head.
He didn't say my head, just filled up in head.
Oh, filled up in head. Thoughts of the book stillborn. What's that?
He might be still, when it says fairy tales filled up in head, he might still be referring back to Christianity. And thoughts of the book stillborn, the book would be the Bible. And it never came to fruition. It was a stillborn child, basically. Like, if the Bible was a baby, it's stillborn. It doesn't give any life. It doesn't have any life to it. It's a dead book, basically, is the idea.
Maybe.
Or at least the thoughts of the Bible are stillborn. Meaning, all the philosophies and shit that you're trying to bring into the world from this book are all going to be doomed to fail, like a stillborn child. Shadow of annoyance, ne'er come hither, and when he falleth, he shall fall like Lucifer, never to ascend again. So it's like somebody falls away from from Christianity. He's never gonna. This guy who was talking, he's never gonna go back. He's never gonna be able to make it back out. Very, very good song. Very good song. Like, I feel like there's so many discussions I'd like to have with atheists on Fireside, but I feel like people are like getting tired of that discussion. So I think I'm just gonna have a bunch of one-on-ones. Like, for example, Kellen has actually read, he hasn't read a lot of Russell, but he's read some Nietzsche and Voltaire and Kant. So it's like...
Yeah, but I don't see why...
I just think people are tired of it and exhausted by it.
You know, there may be people that are tired and exhausted of it, but there are also people who want to hear more of it. So the people that are tired and exhausted of it don't have to tune in.
Well, type 55 in the channel, in the comments if you want to hear more discussions. And like, really, like, I love, everybody knows I love debating, but like, there's only a few times when I go into a discussion feeling like, all right, I'm going to debate this person. Most of the time, I'm trying to figure out...
Trying to learn something.
Well, I'm trying to learn something, and I'm trying to figure out, like, how do you function in a world when you really are saying you don't believe in God, and I'm also trying to figure out how they... Because I know when I first read Russell... I never really made this connection. I read Russell around 16 years old. It was in AP English. He's got this essay called A Free Man's Worship. And I had to read that, and then it led me to read some other stuff by him. Mm-hmm. But so some of this is like, I want to know, like, how do you interact with those wrestlings? Because Nietzsche had him, Russell had him, and so I get, like, because I've not ran into a lot of people who've read it, who are calling themselves atheists, it's hard to, because I'm genuinely curious about that discussion.
Yeah. Yep.
So when I say things and I quote these guys, they don't know that I'm quoting them, so they'll say, "Oh, that's ridiculous," and they're like mocking it, and it's like,
maybe you should start out by saying, "I'm quoting your guy."
Well, I just do that because I assume that they, but I'm wrong.
Stop assuming.
So, like, my point is, like, I'm not trying to, like, I don't have a problem debating. I'll debate anybody, blah, blah, blah. But, like, I'm really trying to figure out, here's how Nietzsche, here's how Russell affected me, and here's how it relates to my thought process, or Augustine, or Aquinas, or this is how these guys affected me and shaped my thought process.
Yeah. Well,
how does it affect you? Because you stayed in the atheist camp. So how does it affect you? Like, those are the discussions I would love to have.
Well, I think that you should put it in the thing. We're talking about Bertrand Russell, Nietzsche.
Oh, that's true.
And then in the actual description, you can say, Skype us if you've read this stuff, and put our Skype information.
Right.
And then we can kind of just keep pushing that.
Put porn.
Because I think that that's an important discussion to have.
It's a very important discussion to have. Okay, what do you give the song?
I give it a 9. I'm actually almost a 9.7, to be honest with you. I liked it. It was a little bit slow at the beginning when the guy was doing his thing. I loved her vocals, though. I don't know how old this is, but it had that very old feel to it. I liked that, appreciated that.
96?
Yeah, it feels much older than 96. 9.7, actually. Believe it or not.
The only reason this song is not... I feel like this song is a 10. I feel like you put the song in the vault and open it 40 years from now, it's going to instigate the same discussions. And that's one of my standards for 10.
Yeah, yep.
The other is, I love the beauty in the vocals. Especially the female vocals. The male vocals went all over the place, and I liked that. And I thought it was risky for them to put the movie clip or whatever that thing was. I thought it was risky because it could either be really fucking cheesy.
Yep.
Or it could be like perfectly poetic.
Yep, and I thought it was perfectly poetic.
I thought they did a damn good job. And it also added a lot of context and meaning to the other thing. And I love the way that the title was employed at the very end of the song. I like that stuff. Like sometimes like
I didn't catch that. Go.
When he falleth, he falls like Lucifer, never to return.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So it's like, it's just brilliant. I thought that was brilliant. The writing structure was good. The music was good. It was slow. It was kind of slow, but I feel like that's the genre. I don't know what genre. I don't know what genre this is.
I felt like it was too supposed to be like that.
But I got the feeling this was a genre specific type of.
Well, even the movie clip that they put in there, that was a slower time back then, or at least that's how it's perceived to be.
It's true.
You know, the discussion between them now would be more of like a fight sort of thing, but it was like, you know, this.
Well, yeah, you don't see writing like that anymore.
No.
Like you just.
I like when she said truly.
Yeah, like you don't see writing like that anymore. People are way too. You know, he was just. Mm-hmm. He captured the misery pretty well. I don't know. I feel like this is a 10, man. I feel like. I don't think. One of the standards I have is, could it have been improved for what it was trying to accomplish? It starts off with, are you a Christian? Mm-hmm. And then it ends with, he falleth like Lucifer. Mm-hmm. And I think that's very, very significant. And I think it was a very honest sort of look at some of the things that cause people to lose faith. Mm-hmm. So, there you are. It's a 10 for me. What is it? 9 point what?
9.7 for me.
9.7 for you. Okay. It's a classic song, I think.
I agree.
Been out.
Sorry out.
Gone.